Hagamos un momento de silencio para prepararnos para la Santa Misa. Y la misa de hoy se ofrece por el eterno descanso del alma de Bernardo Martínez. Eres justo, Señor, y rectos son tus mandamientos. Muéstrate bondadoso con tu siervo. Yo confieso ante Dios Todopoderoso, ante ustedes, hermanos, que he pecado mucho de pensamiento, palabra, obra y omisión, por mi culpa, por mi culpa. Por eso ruego a Santa María Siempre, a los ángeles y a los santos, y a ustedes, hermanos, intercedan por mí ante Dios. Que Dios Todopoderoso tenga misericordia de nosotros, perdone nuestros pecados y nos lleve a la vida eterna. Kyrie eleison. quien debemos la filiación adoptiva, protege como a los hijos que tanto amas, para que todos los que creemos en Cristo obtengamos la verdadera libertad y la herencia eterna. Por nuestro Señor Jesucristo, tu Hijo que vive y reina contigo en la unidad del Espíritu Santo, es Dios por los siglos de los siglos. Amén.
Si no amonestas al malvado, te pediré cuentas de su vida. Lectura del libro del profeta Ezequiel. Esto dice el Señor: a ti, hijo de hombre, te he constituido centinela para la casa de Israel. Cuando escuches una palabra de mi boca, tú se la comunicarás de mi parte. Si yo pronuncio sentencia de muerte contra un hombre porque es malvado, y tú no lo amonestas para que se aparte del mal camino, el malvado morirá por su culpa. Pero yo te pediré a ti cuentas de su vida. En cambio, si tú lo amonestas para que deje su mal camino y él no lo deja, morirá por su culpa, pero tú habrás salvado tu vida. Palabra de Dios.
Te alabamos, Señor.
Señor, que no seamos sordos a tu voz. Señor, que no seamos sordos a tu voz. Vengan, lancemos vivas al Señor, aclamemos al Dios que nos salva. Acerquémonos a Él, llenos de júbilo, y démosle gracias. Señor, que no seamos sordos a tu voz. Vengan impuestos de rodillas, adoremos y bendigamos al Señor, que nos hizo pues el nuestro Dios, y nosotros su pueblo, el nuestro pastor, y nosotros sus ovejas. Señor, que no seamos sordos a tu voz. Hagámosles caso al Señor, que nos dice: no endurezcan su corazón,
Cumplir perfectamente la ley consiste en amar. Lectura de la carta del apóstol San Pablo a los romanos. Hermanos, no tengan con nadie otra deuda que la del amor mutuo, porque el que ama al prójimo ha cumplido ya toda la ley. En efecto, los mandamientos que ordenan no cometerás adulterio, no robarás, no matarás, no darás falso testimonio ni codiciarás, y todos los otros se resumen en este: amarás a tu prójimo como a ti mismo, pues quien ama a su prójimo no le causa daño a nadie. Así pues, cumplir perfectamente la ley consiste en amar. Palabra de Dios. Dios ha reconciliado consigo al mundo por medio de Cristo y nos ha encomendado a nosotros el mensaje de la reconciliación.
El Señor esté con ustedes. Lectura del Santo Evangelio según San Mateo. Gloria a ti, Señor. En aquel tiempo, Jesús dijo a sus discípulos: si tu hermano comete un pecado, ve y amonéstalo a solas. Si te escucha, habrás salvado a tu hermano. Si no te hace caso, has de acompañar de una o dos personas, para que todo lo que se diga conste por boca de 2 o 3 testigos. Pero si ni así te hace caso, díselo a la comunidad. Y si ni a la comunidad le hace caso, apártate de él, como de un pagano o de un publicano. Yo les aseguro que todo lo que aten en la tierra quedará atado en el cielo, y todo lo que desaten en la tierra quedará desatado en el cielo. Yo les aseguro también que si 2 de ustedes se ponen de acuerdo para pedir algo, sea lo que fuere, mi Padre Celestial se lo concederá. Pues donde 2 o 3 se reúnen en mi nombre, ahí estoy yo, en medio de ellos. Palabra del Señor. Gloria a ti, Señor Jesús. Buenas tardes a todos. Yo tengo que pedir el favor de todos los niños y jóvenes desde la edad 8 hasta 18. Todas las personas que tienen 8 años hasta 18 años, yo quiero que acerquen aquí en las escaleras. Everybody between the ages of 8 and 18, everybody come up here. Melody and Iscaret, you guys too, come on up here. Todos los entre 8 y 18. everybody between 8 and 18, come on up here. All right, take a seat somewhere on the steps. Siéntense en el lugar. Sus hileras. There we go. You're taller, aren't you? Okay. Maybe I'll make shorter. All right, everybody take a seat. You guys too. We can make space for you. All right. Here, why don't you guys take a seat on those first two chairs over there in the sanctuary. All right. All right, they're going to come up in the sanctuary. All right. What about these guys? Jacob, can you help them out? All right. Come on up here, guys. Okay, hermanos. Entonces, yo he invitado a todos nuestros jóvenes aquí al frente para decir algunas cosas muy importantes. Primero, a todos ustedes, los padres. ¿Cuántos de ustedes, durante su juventud, tus padres te inspiraron a practicar la fe? La mayoría, me imagino. Right? Y muchos de ustedes estaban en México o Nicaragua y otro lugar. Y el país es católico, ¿no? Right? Hermanos, una pregunta. Aquí en los Estados Unidos, ¿nuestra cultura es cristiana? ¿Es católica? No. No, por supuesto que no. Aquí en los Estados Unidos, la mayoría de la gente piensa que aborto está bien, que Dios no existe, que no hay ninguna iglesia verdadera. Ahora en los Estados Unidos hay personas que están diciendo que un hombre puede ser mujer y el opuesto. La cultura en que donde viven estos jóvenes es muy en contra de nosotros. Nosotros como católicos son los, ¿cómo se dice? Like the heretics. ¿Cómo se dice heretic? Para ser, lo que estoy diciendo es que para ser católico en los Estados Unidos no es fácil. Es muy difícil, especialmente para nuestros jóvenes. Porque en sus clases, en la escuela, están enseñando cosas que están en contra de Dios en la iglesia. Hermanos, ustedes tienen que reconocer esto. Porque si tus niños, si tus jóvenes no están viniendo a misa todas las semanas, si no están viniendo a clases de educación religiosa cada semana, ¿qué va a pasar con su fe? La van a perder, yo les prometo. Hay muchos jóvenes en nuestra iglesia que no están viniendo a misa, que no están viniendo a educación religiosa. Y eso es la responsabilidad de ustedes padres. La educación religiosa no solo es para niños recibiendo primera comunión y personas recibiendo confirmación. Cada niño en esta iglesia, todos ellos, deben estar en educación religiosa. ¿Me hago entender? Si no quieren que tus niños pierdan su fe, hay que fortalecerse a través de la misa y educación religiosa. Si tu niño no está registrado, por favor, restrígelo después de la misa hoy. Hablen con Elba, Petra, alguien así. Alright? Ahora, niños, jóvenes. Alright, this is what I really want to talk to you. You guys okay if I speak in English? Okay, alright, I know most of you guys speak English better anyway, okay? I want to talk to you guys all today because a lot of times I'm asked sometimes, like, we talk about God and we talk about the youth, but I feel like I'm not really talking about you and I'm not really talking to you, okay? Today I want to have a conversation with you, okay? It's really important. I think that you guys, sitting here on the steps of our church, I think you are the most important people in our parish, in our church. The most important people in our church are not the older people. It's you guys. I say that because a lot of times when people get older and they get a job and they get married, they start having kids and everything, right? A lot of times the problems that older people deal with is a lot less in comparison to what you guys are dealing with. Those of you, especially those of you who are older, like junior high or high school, there are people in your school who are really struggling to believe in God. There are people in your school who are beginning to get into things that could ruin the rest of their life. There are people in your school who are getting into things that might even make them lose their life. I'm sure you've probably met people. You probably know people who've taken their own life. You guys at your schools, you guys are basically on the front lines of Crawfordsville. The kind of impact that you have on your peers will have way more of an impact than anybody else in this church. You guys have the biggest chance to influence our whole city. And the people in your school, they really need you. You are the most important people in our church. When I was in school, I wanted to share with you guys a couple of stories. I remember I was in 6th grade. How many of you guys are in 6th grade? All right, so a few of you are in 6th grade, okay? When I was in 6th grade, I was at a birthday party. And at the birthday party, it was a sleepover, and the parents went to bed. And as soon as the parents went to bed, one of my friends who was there, he suggested that all of us guys that we start doing something. And I won't tell you what it was, but I can tell you that if any of our parents would have found out that we had done it, gracias, una silla. So one of the guys suggested that we start doing something, and I won't tell you what it was, but just know that if any of our parents would have found out, we would have been in huge trouble. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that when I was there, I didn't really know what to do. I was a little unsure of myself when I didn't really say anything. And one person there, his name was Josh, and he stood up in the midst of all of us, and he said, "You know what, guys? I'm not doing that. I don't think you guys should know." And I will never forget, as soon as he said that, one by one, the other people who were there at that party said, "Yeah, I guess I won't do it either." And I was in school with him for 6 more years, all the way through high school. And I always remember he was a man of courage. He was brave enough to stand up to all those guys who were there, just by his example, saying, "I'm not going to do that." And I always remember that guy. That could be any one of you. When your friends are getting into bad stuff. I remember another time I was in high school, and I was getting ready to eat lunch, and at my lunch table I was normally one of the last people that got there. And this one day I actually got there early, and there was another person sitting at the table. His name was Jory. And I saw him right before he started eating. He actually bowed his head, and I could see that he was praying before he ate. And I remember thinking, I have never seen anybody else, my whole school, pray before. Sometimes I really struggled, like I doubted the faith, or I wasn't sure if God was real. And when I would go to school, I never saw anybody praying or talking about God, so I thought, maybe I'm the only person who even believes in God. And just by seeing one person praying, it made me realize that I wasn't alone. Something so simple. Is there something that you guys can be doing at your school? Praying, even if it's just by yourself, that lets other people know that God is real and they're not alone in faith. All of you girls who are here, right, how many girls we have? Raise your hand. You're a girl. Okay, all right. You know, when I was a junior in high school, there was a girl at my church, and I had a really big crush on her. Her name was Elizabeth. And I had a huge crush on her all through school. And our junior year, she started getting really into the faith. And I wouldn't say I was totally lost. I would normally be at church and stuff, like at Mass, but I didn't really do anything else. And I had a huge crush on this girl, and I started noticing that she was getting really involved in our church youth group. And she started going on the different youth retreats that were happening in our church. She even started going to Mass, not just on Sundays, but sometimes she would go during the week at daily Mass. And I had a really big crush on her, so you know what I did after that? I started going to youth group. I started going to those retreats. I even started going to daily Mass. Right? She didn't even ever say anything to me about it. She was just doing it. And it made me want to be there. Guys, never underestimate the ability you have to bring other people to God and to the church. Very simple things. Jacob, can you hand me that Bible there? Not the picture yet, this Bible here. Those of you who were in religious education this morning, if you're 8th grade and younger, you got one of these. Those of you who will go next week, you'll get one next week. This is basically the Bible in basically like comic format, right? Like a comic book. It's not because I don't think you guys can read, it's because sometimes I think the Bible can be kind of intimidating and hard to get into. So for those of you who are 8th grade and younger, all of you are going to get one of these this year for religious education. Now you talk about making an impact. What if every day at school, whenever you had a little bit of free time, instead of pulling out your phone, right, what if you pulled this out and just start reading through it? Those of you who are older, like high school age, take your Bible to school. If you have any free time during the day, just pull out your Bible, just read a little bit of it. Chapter a day or something. You don't even have to say anything about it. People will just see, man, that person's reading the Bible. Maybe they'll even start asking you questions about your faith. Be a chance for you to talk to them about it. Simple ways to give witness to God in church. Jacob, now you can bring out that picture, please. I also want to share with you guys person with you. This is you can believe it or not, you can show the parishioners too, show the people on the pews. Todos pueden verlo. ¿Cuántos de ustedes saben quién es? Okay, algunos. Right. So guys, this, alright, show it to these guys, Jacob, please. He looks like he could be right out of Crawfordsville High School, right? Looks like one of us. This is actually one of the newest saints in our church. His name is Blessed Carlo Acutis. He was just beatified a few years ago. And you might need to walk around a little bit, Jacob, and just show them. Right? So Blessed Carlo Acutis. He's younger than I am. He was born a year after me. Right? And he's a saint. He's in heaven now with God and the saints. He died when he was 15. How many of you guys are 15? Just a few. He died when he was 15, so he caught a disease called leukemia. It's a very extreme form of cancer. When he was diagnosed with leukemia, he knew that he was going to die. His parents were expecting him to be really sad. And he said, you know what, I'm not sad. I didn't waste my time in my life serving myself and doing things that didn't matter. I spent my life serving God. And now I get to spend eternity with him. That's what he told his parents when he was diagnosed. He ended up dying about a week after he was diagnosed with cancer, and he left a huge impact on people. He was 7 years old when he got his first communion. And when he was going through first communion, he learned about the Eucharist, the fact that every time we have Mass, the bread and the wine on the altar is changed in the body and blood of Jesus. Literally God himself, the God of the universe. It's on the altar in the Eucharist. That's what we receive at communion. And he couldn't believe it when he was going through first communion. He learned this, and he actually asked his parents if they would bring him to church every single day so he could receive the Eucharist. Jacob, how many times a week do you come to Mass? Three or four times a week, Jacob comes to Mass to receive the Eucharist. That's what Carlo was like when he was only 7 years old. When he was 11 years old, he asked if he could start teaching at his church, some of the younger children. I want to teach them about God and about the faith. Make sure they can see it to Jacob, please. Carlo, when he was getting older, he was pretty intelligent, and he got really knowledgeable about computers and about the internet. This was, now all of you probably have like phones and you've been used to the internet. When he was growing up, it wasn't quite like that. But he got really good with computers and technology, and he actually started making websites that you can find on the internet. And what he put on that website was he documented all of the Eucharistic miracles that have ever happened. How many of you know what a Eucharistic miracle is? Eucharistic miracle? You know a little bit? All right, so think about this. This is what a Eucharistic miracle is. It's amazing. This is incredible. If you guys have ever heard of this, you need to listen up. This is crazy. Okay. Right? When Jesus was on this earth, everybody thought that he was just a man, right? He just looked like a human being. But he was really God. And so most of the time, he hid his divinity, and he looked like just a mere man. But every once in a while, he would reveal his divinity, like when he would perform a miracle, or at the Transfiguration, when he was up on Mount Tabor with 3 of his disciples, and he was transfigured, and he became white as light. The Eucharistic miracle is just like that, but with the Eucharist. With the bread and wine at Mass. That is God of the universe. Sometimes when people are having Mass, the Eucharist, it will literally change physical form. Like somebody will receive communion and a host in their hand, it will start bleeding. Human blood. It's a miracle. Sometimes when people are receiving communion, the host will turn into like physical flesh. Start changing. It's a miracle. In our own country, in Connecticut this summer, literally just a few months ago, there was a Eucharistic miracle where people were having Mass, and they realized when communion started that they didn't have enough hosts for people to receive communion. And miraculously, everybody in the church received communion, and they never ran out of the Eucharist. Every time this happens, doctors investigate it, scientists investigate it. Right? They do all their tests on it to make sure that nobody made this up. Nobody fabricated this. There's really no explanation. It's a Eucharistic miracle. Carlo, and he made a website, and he documented all these different Eucharistic miracles. You can go home after Mass today. You can look it up on the internet. Eucharistic miracles. Or look up Carlo Acutis, Eucharistic miracles. You can find a website. He was just a teenager. And he used his talent for computers and technology to spread the faith to other people. What are you doing? What can you do to start spreading the faith to other people? I know that a lot of you guys have a lot of different things that you're good at. How can you use them to serve God? When Carlo, one of his phrases that I really love and I want to share with you guys today is, Blessed Carlo, he used to tell his friends, he would say, everybody is born as an original, but most people die as photocopies. Everyone is born as an original, but most people die as photocopies. And what he meant by that is that all of us, we want to stand out. We want to be the best athlete at our sport. We want to be the best student in our class. We want to have the most friends, right? We want to stand out. And what Carlo realized as he was growing up is that everybody has that desire, but he would look at his peers and he would say, everybody is self-absorbed, everybody's being selfish, everybody is giving up faith in God, everybody isn't caring for peers and their friends. And so he said, if somebody really wants to stand out, the best thing to stand out is to live for God. He was the most respected person in his school because he loved God. He loved his faith. He wasn't thinking about himself. He would find other kids in school who he could tell were struggling. Like he would find kids whose parents had gone through a divorce and they were really struggling. And he would make a point to invite them over to his house, spend time with him and his family, so he would experience a good time with a good family. He was always looking out for other people. He was always serving God. He told the kids that he taught in his church, he said, you know, when all you're doing is living for yourself, it just makes you sad. But when you live for God, it makes you so happy. All people are born as originals, but most of us, unfortunately, most people die as photocopies. I don't want any of you to be photocopies. I want to change our entire town of Crawfordsville. I want you to be in the schools and on your sports teams, sharing the faith with people. Looking out for the people who need God the most, need friends the most. So I'm going to ask all of you guys the rest of this year, come to Mass. I want you to be in our religious education classes on Sunday mornings so that you can become a stronger Christian. And you can be with other people your age who are going to challenge you to be a better Christian. I want you guys to talk about how you can spread the faith. This year, I'm expecting you guys. You guys are on the front lines. I want you to bring God to your school. I hope that all of us might be inspired by Blessed Carla as an example for us. So now you guys can go and be seated back in your pews. We're going to continue with Mass. Nos ponemos de pie y unidos en oración profesemos nuestra fe. Creo en un solo Dios, Padre Todopoderoso, creador del cielo y de la tierra, de todo lo visible y lo invisible. Creo en un solo Señor Jesucristo, Hijo único de Dios, nacido del Padre desde todos los siglos, Dios de Dios, luz de luz, Dios verdadero de Dios verdadero, engendrado o creado, de la misma naturaleza del Padre, por quien todo fue hecho, que por nosotros sus hombres, por nuestra salvación, bajó del cielo, y por obra del Espíritu Santo se encarnó de María la Virgen y se hizo hombre, y por nuestra causa fue crucificado en tiempos de Poncio Pilato, padeció y fue sepultado, y resucitó al tercer día según las Escrituras, y subió al cielo, y está sentada a la derecha del Padre, y de nuevo vendrá con gloria para juzgar a vivos y muertos, y su reino no tendrá fin. Creo en el Espíritu Santo, Señor y dador de vida, que procede del Padre y del Hijo, que con el Padre y el Hijo reciben su gloria, y que habló por los profetas. Creo en la Iglesia, que es una santa, católica, apostólica. Confieso que hay un solo bautismo para perdón de los pecados. Espero la resurrección de los muertos y la vida en el mundo futuro. Ahora presentemos nuestras plegarias frente del Señor.
Por los obispos, sacerdotes y diáconos, para que todos los trabajadores comportan la buena nueva con fe. Roguemos al Señor.
Rogamos, Señor.
Para que los legisladores del mundo aborden su misión y conozcan la necesidad de la justicia global. Roguemos al Señor.
Rogamos, Señor.
Por todos los que perdieron a seres amados en la tragedia del 11 de septiembre, para que encuentren consuelo en la promesa de la vida eterna, roguemos al Señor. Por todos los que trabajan en circunstancias peligrosas, para que los gerentes de empresas mejoren las condiciones de trabajo, roguemos al Señor. Por todos los trabajadores en la vida del Señor, para que conozcan la alegría y la plenitud de su llamado, roguemos al Señor.
Para nuestros jóvenes, para que tengan la fuerza para contestar la llamada a ser sacerdotes o monjas laicos. Roguemos Dios y salve María, llena eres de gracia, el Señor es contigo. Bendita tú eres entre todas las mujeres, bendito es el fruto de Jesús. Santa María, Madre de Dios, ruega por nosotros pecadores. Padre Celestial, te pedimos todo, en el nombre de Jesucristo, nuestro sumo sacerdote, que vive y reina por los siglos de los siglos. Amén. Hermanos, para que ese sacrificio mío y suyo sea agradable a Dios Padre Todopoderoso. Señor Dios, fuente de toda devoción sincera y de la paz, concédenos honrar con estos dones tu majestad, de tal manera que al participar en estos santos misterios, todos quedemos unidos en un mismo sentir. Por Jesucristo nuestro Señor. El Señor esté con ustedes. Levantemos el corazón. Demos gracias al Señor nuestro Dios. En verdad, es justo y necesario, es nuestro deber y salvación, darte gracias siempre en todo lugar. Señor Padre Santo, Dios Todopoderoso y Eterno, porque tu amor al mundo fue tan misericordioso, que no solo nos enviaste como redentor a tu propio Hijo, sino que lo quisiste en todo semejante a nosotros, menos en el pecado, para poder así amar a nosotros lo que en él amamos. Y con su obediencia nos devolviste aquellos dones que por la desobediencia del pecado habíamos perdido. Por eso ahora nosotros, llenos de alegría, te aclamamos con los ángeles y los santos, diciendo: Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus Dominus Deus Sabaoth, plenius celi et terra, gloria tua, Hosanna in excelsis, benedictus, qui venit in nomine Domini, Hosanna in excelsis. Santo eres en verdad, Señor, fuente de toda santidad. Por eso te pedimos que santifiques estos dones con la fusión de tu Espíritu, de manera que se conviertan para nosotros en el cuerpo y la sangre de Jesucristo nuestro Señor, el cual, cuando iba a ser entregado a su pasión voluntariamente aceptado, tomó pan, dándote gracias, lo partió, y lo dio a sus discípulos, diciendo: Tomen y coman todos de él, porque esto es mi cuerpo, que será entregado por ustedes. Del mismo modo, acabada la cena, tomó el cáliz, y dándote gracias de nuevo, lo pasó a sus discípulos, diciendo: Tomen y beban todos de él, porque este es el cáliz de mi sangre, sangre de la alianza nueva y eterna, que será derramada por ustedes y por muchos para el perdón de los pecados. Hagan esto en conmemoración mía. Este es el sacramento de nuestra fe. Así pues, Padre, al celebrar ahora el memorial de la muerte y resurrección de tu Hijo, te ofrecemos el pan de vida y el cáliz de salvación. Y te damos gracias porque nos haces dignos de servirte en tu presencia. Te pedimos humildemente que el Espíritu Santo congregue en unidad a cuantos participamos del cuerpo y la sangre de Cristo. Acuérdate, Señor, de tu iglesia extendida por toda la tierra, y con el Papa Francisco, con nuestro obispo Timoteo y todos los pastores que cuidan de tu pueblo. Llévala a su perfección por la caridad. Acuérdate también de nuestros hermanos que se durmieron en la esperanza de la resurrección, y de todos los que han muerto en tu misericordia. Admítelos a contemplar la luz de tu rostro. Ten misericordia de todos nosotros, y así como María, la Virgen Madre de Dios, su esposo San José, los apóstoles y cuantos vivieron en tu amistad a través de los tiempos, merezcamos por tu Jesucristo compartir la vida eterna y cantar tus alabanzas. Por Cristo, con él y en él, a ti Dios Padre omnipotente, en la unidad del Espíritu Santo, todo honor y toda gloria, por los siglos de los siglos. Amén.
planes, Señor, y concédenos la paz en nuestros días, para que, ayudados por tu misericordia, vivamos siempre libres de pecado y protegidos de toda virtud, mientras esperamos la gloriosa venida de nuestro Salvador, Jesucristo. Señor Jesucristo, que dices a tus apóstoles, la paz es de mi paz es tuya. No tengas en cuenta nuestros pecados, sino la fe de tu Iglesia. Y conforme a tu palabra, concédele la paz y la unidad. Tú que vives y reinas por los siglos de los siglos. La paz del Señor esté siempre con ustedes. Dense fraternamente la paz. Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, Este es el Cordero de Dios, que quita el pecado del mundo. Dichosos los invitados a la cena del Señor. Señor, no soy digno de que entres en mi casa. Una palabra te bastará para sanar. Como la sierva busca el agua de las fuentes, así mi alma tiene sed del Dios vivo.
amo sobre todas las cosas y deseo ardientemente recibirte dentro de mi alma, pero no pudiendo hacerlo ahora sacramentalmente, ven al menos espiritualmente a mi corazón y como si tuviese recibido, me abrazo y me uno de todo a ti. Oh Señor, no permitas que me separe de ti.
Concede, Señor, a tus fieles, a quienes alimentas y vivificas con tu palabra sacramento del cielo, aprovechar de tal manera tan grandes dones de tu amado, que merezcamos ser siempre partícipes de su vida. El que vive y reina por los siglos de los siglos. Amén. Siéntense para los anuncios, por favor. Mientras ella se acerque, la pregunta de trivia question. Okay? What is the name of the fifth book of the Bible? ¿Cómo se llama el libro quinto de la Biblia? Génesis, Éxodo, Levítico, Números y... ¿Alguien sabe, Chulito? ¿Ah? No? Did you say? No? ¿Alguien más? Deuteronomio, quinto libro de la Biblia.
Buenas tardes. Unos cuantos recordatorios. Adoración al Santísimo todos los miércoles de 8 de la mañana a 7:15 de la noche. Confesiones en español después de misa. Recuerden el sábado 14 de octubre de 8 a 7 de la tarde va a haber un retiro prematrimonial para parejas y matrimonios. El costo es $60 por pareja. Hay cupo limitado. Si quieren más información, por favor, véanos en la ventanilla de la iglesia. Si desea ayudar con las ventas de la iglesia después de misa, regístrese en la ventanilla de información. Todo lo recaudado es para ayudar al Ministerio Hispano. Tenemos una familia que va a recibir las imágenes, la familia Sánchez. Por favor, acérquense.
Que esta familia sea bendecida, Padre y Espíritu Santo. All right, gracias. Ok, hermanos, solo dos anuncios más. Primero de todo, recuérdense que cada niño de nuestra parroquia debe ser registrado en educación religiosa. No importa si ya ha sido confirmado o ha recibido su primera comunión, tenemos clases para cada grado. Entonces, nunca es demasiado para registrarse. Pueden hablar con Petra o Elba después de la misa. Otra cosa, ustedes recuerdan que cada año tenemos nuestro Taco Fest. El Taco Fest es la fiesta más grande en Crawfordsville y se pasa el 7 de octubre este año. Entonces, yo pido la ayuda de todos ustedes para promoverlo en nuestra comunidad y para vender boletos. Y hay toda la información que van a necesitar, está ahí en el vestíbulo con Annie y María y esas personas, ¿ok? Entonces, cada feligresía debe estar participando de alguna manera para apoyar y para que todo el Crawfordsville venga a nuestra parroquia para el evento, ¿ok? Especially all you young people in school, right? Invite your friends to Taco Fest. Have them bring their families, it'd be awesome, ¿ok? De pie, por favor. El Señor esté con todos ustedes. Que la bendición de Dios Todopoderoso, Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo, descienda sobre ustedes, permanezca para siempre. La misa terminado, pueden ir en paz.